Imagine the mid-20th century, a world gripped by the Cold War. Two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, ideologically opposed and locked in a tense standoff, vied for global dominance. This rivalry played out on political, economic, and military fronts, but it also found a unique and dramatic arena, the vast, unexplored expanse of outer space. This was the stage for the space race, a thrilling and high-stakes competition to achieve superior spaceflight capability. A battle fought not with bullets, but with rockets and technological ingenuity. The origins of the space race are deeply intertwined with the post-World War II arms race, particularly the development of ballistic missile technology. Imagine the terrifying potential of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs capable of delivering nuclear warheads across continents. Both the US and the USSR recognized that the same rocket technology that could deliver weapons could also be used to launch objects into space. Public fascination with space travel had been brewing for decades, fueled by science fiction and the dreams of reaching for the stars. Imagine the excitement generated by early discussions of artificial satellites and the possibility of human spaceflight. This public interest would soon be amplified and channeled by the political and ideological imperatives of the Cold War. The official starting gun for the space race is often considered to be the International Geophysical Year (IGY) of 1957 to 1958. Imagine both the United States and the Soviet Union announcing their intention to launch artificial satellites as part of this international scientific endeavor. However, it was the Soviet Union that would score the first major victory. On October 4, 1957, the world was stunned by the news that the USSR had successfully launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite to orbit the Earth. Imagine the shockwaves this sent through the United States. Not only was the Soviet Union ahead in this new technological frontier, but the very fact that they could launch a satellite raised concerns about their ability to launch missiles that could reach American soil. This event triggered what became known as the Sputnik crisis in the US, fueling a sense of national insecurity and a determination to catch up and surpass the Soviets. The early years of the space race were marked by a series of headline-grabbing firsts. Imagine the Soviet Union following up Sputnik 1 with Sputnik 2 in November 1957, carrying the dog Laika, the first living creature in orbit. These early Soviet successes underscored the perceived technological lead of the USSR and intensified the pressure on the United States to demonstrate its own capabilities. The United States responded with the launch of Explorer 1 in January 1958, its first successful satellite. This marked the beginning of the American space program's efforts to close the gap. The political will to succeed was growing, fueled by President Eisenhower's concern and a growing public demand to regain technological superiority. In 1958, the United States took a crucial step by establishing the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Imagine the creation of this new agency, dedicated to civilian space exploration, signaling a national commitment to winning the space race. NASA would become the driving force behind America's efforts to achieve milestones in space. The early stages of the space race were not just about satellites. The competition extended to sending the first living beings into space, and ultimately the first human. Imagine the world holding its breath as both nations prepared for these monumental achievements, each keenly aware of the propaganda value and the symbolic victory that awaited the first to succeed. The battle for the final frontier had begun in earnest, a unique and compelling theater in the larger drama of the Cold War. Imagine the world holding its breath as both the Soviet Union and the United States poured resources and scientific expertise into the next crucial objective of the space race, putting a human being into orbit. This was not just a technological challenge, it was a deeply symbolic one, representing the pinnacle of human achievement and a powerful demonstration of a nation's capabilities. The Soviet Union, having achieved the first satellite launches, maintained its early lead in the human spaceflight race. Imagine the secrecy and intense work within the Soviet space program as they prepared for this unprecedented endeavor. They selected a group of young and daring cosmonauts, known as the First Cosmonaut Corps, who underwent rigorous training to withstand the extreme conditions of spaceflight. On April 12, 1961, the world was once again stunned by a Soviet announcement. Yuri Gagarin had become the first human in space, completing one orbit around the Earth aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft. Imagine the global sensation this news created. Gagarin became an instant international hero, and the Soviet Union basked in the immense prestige of this monumental achievement. For the United States, this was another stark reminder of their lagging position in the space race, and intensified the pressure to catch up. The United States, meanwhile, was pursuing its own human spaceflight program, Project Mercury. Imagine the selection and training of the Mercury 7 astronauts, a group of elite military test pilots who became national figures. However, the American program faced setbacks and delays, watching as the Soviets achieved another significant milestone. The American response came on May 5, 1961, when Alan Shepard became the first American in space aboard the Mercury Redstone 3 spacecraft, Freedom 7. Imagine the relief and renewed determination in the United States as they finally launched a human into space. However, Shepard's flight was a suborbital hop, reaching space but not completing a full orbit, further highlighting the Soviet Union's more advanced capabilities. At this stage, the pressure on the United States to achieve orbital human flight intensified. Imagine President John F. Kennedy, recognizing the strategic and symbolic importance of the space race, setting a bold and ambitious goal in May 1961, to land a man on the moon before the end of the decade. This ambitious target galvanized the American space program, and focused its efforts on long-term goals. On February 20, 1962, the United States finally achieved orbital human flight when John Glenn piloted the Mercury Atlas 6 spacecraft, Friendship 7, completing 3 orbits around the Earth. Imagine the national celebration and sense of accomplishment in the US as they closed the orbital gap with the Soviets. The race for the first human in space was a critical chapter in the space race. Imagine the intense competition, the groundbreaking technological advancements, and the immense national pride and political implications associated with each milestone. The Soviet Union's early successes served as a powerful propaganda tool, while the United States' eventual orbital flight marked a turning point and set the stage for the even greater challenge of reaching the moon. The battle for the final frontier was escalating, with both nations determined to demonstrate their technological and ideological superiority on the grandest stage imaginable. Imagine President John F. Kennedy, facing the early Soviet successes in space, making a daring and ambitious pronouncement in May 1961. The United States would commit itself to landing a man on the moon, and returning him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. This audacious goal, known as the Apollo program, dramatically raised the stakes of the space race, and focused American efforts on achieving this ultimate first. The decision to aim for the moon was driven by a combination of factors. Imagine the need to regain international prestige after the Soviet Union's early triumphs, the belief that landing on the moon represented an unparalleled technological feat, and the desire to demonstrate American ingenuity and resolve in the face of the Cold War rivalry. The Apollo program was a massive undertaking, requiring unprecedented levels of funding, scientific innovation, and engineering expertise. Imagine the immense challenges involved in developing the powerful rockets like the Saturn V, the sophisticated spacecraft, the command and lunar modules, and the life support systems necessary for lunar travel and survival. NASA's workforce swelled, and contractors across the nation mobilized to tackle these complex technological hurdles. While the United States set its sights on the moon, the Soviet Union also had lunar ambitions. Imagine the Soviet space program pursuing its own robotic and crewed lunar missions, often shrouded in secrecy. They achieved several early lunar milestones, including the first spacecraft to impact the moon, Luna 2, in 1959, and the first soft landing on the moon, Luna 9, in 1966. The race to the moon was on, with both nations vying to be the first to reach this celestial body. The mid-1960s saw the United States making significant progress with the Gemini program, which served as a crucial stepping stone to Apollo. Imagine the Gemini missions developing essential skills for lunar flight, such as rendezvous and docking in orbit, spacewalking, and long-duration spaceflight. These missions provided invaluable experience and tested the technologies that would be needed for the lunar landing. The Soviet Union also continued its unmanned lunar exploration program, sending robotic probes to orbit and land on the moon. Imagine the lunar program, returning the first lunar soil samples to Earth, a significant scientific achievement. However, the Soviet Union's crewed lunar program faced delays and setbacks, partly due to leadership changes and the immense technical challenges involved. The Apollo program faced its own tragedies, most notably the Apollo 1 fire in 1967, which tragically killed 3 astronauts. Imagine the shock and grief that gripped the nation, and the subsequent rigorous safety reviews and redesigns that were necessary to continue the program. This setback underscored the inherent risks and complexities of human spaceflight. Despite the challenges and setbacks, the United States pressed forward with the Apollo program, driven by President Kennedy's ambitious goal and the unwavering commitment of thousands of scientists, engineers, and technicians. The race to the moon became a symbol of national aspiration and a focal point of the Cold War competition in space. The world watched with anticipation as the decade drew to a close, wondering which nation would ultimately achieve this monumental feat. Imagine the world holding its breath in the summer of 1969. Years of intense effort and billions of dollars invested in the Apollo program were about to culminate in a mission of unprecedented ambition, landing humans on the moon. On July 20, 1969, that dream became a reality with Apollo 11. Imagine the iconic images beamed around the globe: the lunar module Eagle descending onto the dusty surface of the moon, the grainy black and white footage of Neil Armstrong taking his one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. The world watched in awe as Armstrong and then Buzz Aldrin explored the lunar landscape, planted the American flag, collected samples, and conducted experiments. This was a moment of profound human achievement, a testament to ingenuity and determination, and a decisive victory for the United States in the space race. The sheer magnitude of this accomplishment cannot be overstated. Imagine the technological prowess required to travel hundreds of thousands of miles, land on another celestial body, and safely return. The success of Apollo 11 was a powerful demonstration of American technological superiority and a major propaganda coup in the context of the Cold War. However, the space race continued even after the moon landing. Imagine the Soviet Union, while never successfully landing humans on the moon, pursuing other ambitious unmanned missions, including the development of robotic rovers and sample return missions. They also focused on establishing long-duration human presence in Earth orbit, with their Salyut space stations, laying the groundwork for future space exploration. The United States followed up Apollo 11 with several more successful lunar landing missions: Apollo 12, 14, 15, 16, and 17, each expanding our scientific knowledge of the moon and pushing the boundaries of human spaceflight. Imagine astronauts conducting more extensive scientific research, deploying experiments, and even driving lunar rovers across the moon's surface. Tragically, the Apollo program also faced further loss. Imagine the Apollo 13 mission in 1970, where an in-flight explosion jeopardized the lives of the astronauts. The heroic efforts of the crew and ground control to overcome the technical challenges and return safely to Earth became a dramatic story of human resilience and ingenuity, capturing the world's attention once again. By the early 1970s, with the United States having achieved its primary goal of landing on the moon, and with a shifting political landscape and economic priorities, the intensity of the space race began to wane. The Apollo program was scaled back, and both nations began to explore new avenues of space exploration, including collaborative efforts. The legacy of the moon landing is profound. Imagine the inspiration it provided to generations, the technological spin-offs that benefited countless industries, and the fundamental shift in our understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. It remains a symbol of what can be achieved through ambition, innovation, and perseverance. While the initial fervor of the Cold War-driven space race eventually cooled, the competition had spurred incredible advancements in rocketry, materials science, electronics, and countless other fields. The battle for the final frontier had yielded not only symbolic victories, but also a wealth of scientific knowledge and technological capabilities that would pave the way for future space exploration and utilization. Imagine the initial intense phase of the space race, driven by the Cold War rivalry and the singular goal of reaching the moon, gradually giving way to new priorities and approaches in space exploration during the 1970s and beyond. With the lunar goal achieved, both the United States and the Soviet Union began to explore different avenues, including establishing a sustained human presence in Earth orbit and venturing further into the solar system. The Soviet Union, having focused on long-duration human spaceflight early on, continued to develop its space station program. Imagine the launch of the Salyut series of orbital stations, beginning in 1971. These provided platforms for conducting scientific research, observing Earth, and testing the human capacity to live and work in space for extended periods. The Soviets gained significant experience in long-duration missions, paving the way for future international collaborations. The United States, while scaling back its Apollo program, also turned its attention to Earth orbit, with the Skylab program in the mid-1970s. Imagine American astronauts living and working in this orbital workshop, conducting scientific experiments, and studying the effects of spaceflight on the human body. Skylab provided valuable data and experience for future long-duration missions. A significant shift in the post-moon landing era was the beginning of international cooperation in space. Imagine the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975, a symbolic handshake in orbit between American astronauts and Soviet cosmonauts. This mission represented a thawing of Cold War tensions in the realm of space exploration and signaled a potential for future collaboration. Unmanned exploration of the solar system also became a major focus for both nations. Imagine the Voyager program, launched by the United States in 1977, sending probes on grand tours of the outer planets, providing stunning images and invaluable scientific data about Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. The Soviet Union also continued its robotic exploration of the Moon and Venus. The development of the Space Shuttle in the United States, with its first flight in 1981, marked a new era of reusable spacecraft. Imagine the shuttle's versatility in deploying and retrieving satellites, conducting scientific experiments, and contributing to the construction of future space infrastructure. The post-space race era also saw the rise of other nations as spacefaring powers, including Europe, Japan, and China, further diversifying the landscape of space exploration. The legacy of the space race, beyond the initial competition, was the foundation it laid for sustained human presence in space, the robotic exploration of our solar system, and international collaboration in scientific endeavors. While the Cold War rivalry provided the initial impetus, the pursuit of knowledge and the expansion of human reach beyond Earth became enduring motivations for space exploration. Imagine the space race, a unique Cold War battle, fought in the ultimate high ground, leaving behind a legacy that extends far beyond the political and ideological competition of its time. Its impact on science, technology, and human aspiration continues to shape our world today. The intense pressure to achieve milestones in space spurred unprecedented technological innovation. Imagine the rapid advancements in rocketry, materials, science, electronics, computer technology, and telecommunications that were necessary to achieve human spaceflight and lunar landings. Many of these innovations found applications in everyday life, leading to the development of new materials, medical technologies, and consumer products. The space race acted as a powerful catalyst for scientific and engineering progress across a wide range of fields. The space race also had a profound impact on science and our understanding of the universe. Imagine the data collected by early satellites and lunar missions revolutionizing our knowledge of Earth's atmosphere, magnetosphere, and our celestial neighbor. The robotic probes sent to explore the solar system continue to provide invaluable insights into the formation and evolution of planets, and the potential for life beyond Earth. The visual spectacle of spaceflight and the moon landing captured the imagination of the world and inspired generations. Imagine young people being drawn to science and engineering, fueled by the dream of space exploration. The iconic images and stories of astronauts, pushing the boundaries of human capability, continue to inspire awe and wonder. The space race also highlighted the importance of national investment in science and education. Imagine the increased funding for scientific research, and the emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education in both the US and the USSR. This focus on developing a skilled workforce had long-term benefits for technological advancement and economic competitiveness. The spirit of the space race, the ambition to achieve seemingly impossible goals, the dedication to scientific inquiry, and the willingness to push the limits of human capability, continues to resonate in modern space exploration efforts. Imagine the ongoing international collaboration on the International Space Station, the renewed focus on lunar and Martian exploration, and the burgeoning private space industry, all building upon the foundations laid during the space race era. The space race serves as a powerful reminder of what can be achieved when nations and humanity set ambitious goals and invest in the pursuit of knowledge and innovation. Imagine its enduring legacy, not just in the technologies it produced and the scientific knowledge it gained, but also in the inspiration it provided and the collaborative spirit that eventually emerged from its initial competition. The battle for the final frontier ultimately expanded our horizons and continues to drive our exploration of the cosmos.